Hi, Nicole Smithee here again, and we're continuing our conversation around leadership. I believe in the leader that you're called to be, and I pray that through this series that you get practical insights to develop the leader within. We're talking last week about the responsibility that we have as leaders to control climate, that we are climate control, not air conditioning, climate control for the teams and the organizations that we oversee. Ultimately, we're responsible to shape culture and to shape it for the better. Is our team life-giving? Is it vibrant? Is it pioneering? Is it progressive? Is it innovative? Or is it stagnant and dysfunctional and divisive or stressed out? Ultimately, we get to shape culture. We get to shift the tide between perhaps negative to positive or stressful to collaborative or, dysfunctional to really, really progressing. We determine that. And last week we talked about one way in which we do that, which is with our attitude, which is contagious. It's something that's caught, not necessarily taught, but it has a huge impact in controlling climate for the better. Today we're going to talk about a couple other ways in which we get to control climate. We control climate with the words that we use. Yes, language. Language controls climate. Language shapes and develops culture. Jesus said this in the Gospels. He said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. In other words, words are powerful because they reveal what's really going on in the inner workings of a human, their soul, their heart. Well, the same is true on an organizational level. The words that are spoken, the words that we hear from the top of the organization all the way to the bottom, they reveal the health of the organization. They reveal the heart of the organization. They reveal the value system of the organization. And so, as a leader, we should be intentional about the words we use. We should intentionally use words that are going to bring to life, that are going to reveal for everybody the values, the health, the future progress of the organization that we're leading, the teams that we're leading. So maybe you've never done this exercise, but I want to encourage you as a leader to take some time to craft language that is going to intentionally control climate. I want you to craft language that speaks to the values of your team, the values of your church, the values of your organization. I want you to think about how you can inject that language into every form of communication that you have, how it could become so repetitive that it becomes mantras, that it becomes the response, the language that's used even under pressure. Shape culture with your words. Language matters. So go ahead and intentionally craft culture. Go ahead and intentionally control climate, right? With words. Your words matter. And the second thing that we'll talk about really quickly today is not just your words that actually control climate, but also your reaction. Like under pressure, how are you reacting? What do you do when the money doesn't come in? The funding didn't go through. What do you do when somebody quits? What do you do when somebody gets offended and has a conflict with somebody else on the team? What do you do when there's a reorg chart happening and a reorganization for your organization? What do you do when it's getting tense? It's long hours, but you're still not having that breakthrough. What do you do under pressure? Those things actually matter. How do you react to challenges? One of the things that I love is that the Bible is filled with leadership lessons for us. It's such an immense treasure of leadership wisdom, and we get to learn from different leaders throughout the Bible. One of the great Bible leaders was King David. Now, he was not perfect by any means. He definitely had his mistakes and his bad moments. But time and time again under pressure, he responded with excellence. He didn't react, he responded. He was calm, he was cool, he was collected. He made intentional choices even under pressure. Case in point, at one point when he's leading his whole army of men, they're so angry at him. They're so frustrated by a recent defeat and the captives of their family and their friends and their possessions to an enemy that they're ready to stone David. But what does David do? He doesn't do what many of us would do. Maybe I would do in this situation, probably would, which is like beg, please don't kill me, or run in fear, or get prideful and insecure and say, listen, you guys need to remember why I am in charge, because I am better and more qualified than any of you. He doesn't do any of that. The Bible says that he actually separates himself from the situation. He walks away for a second and he strengthens himself in the Lord. He strengthens himself in the Lord. He encourages himself in the Lord. He realizes the best possible thing I can do right now is not react, but I can actually respond from strength. But first, I need to be strengthened by God himself. And he's strengthened, he's encouraged. He actually gets wisdom from heaven on how to respond. And ultimately, he leads his army to great victory. Friends, I want us to be those kind of leaders that don't react under pressure, that we don't get defensive, we don't blame, we don't run, we don't isolate, we don't freak out. But what do? We respond. We respond with intentionality, we respond with courage, we respond with wisdom. If we need to step away and pray, we step away and pray. If we need to call somebody, a mentor, and say, hey, I need some help here. If we need to get the right people in the room to solve this problem and move forward with faith, your team is watching. Your church is watching. Your family is watching. Those you're called to influence, they're watching how you react under pressure. So how are you going to respond? I pray that you would respond intentionally, and that through those responses, that you forge culture, that you shape culture for the better, that you control the climate, and that you're teaching people through example that even under pressure, we can move forward. That even though there's an or a challenge, we can actually turn this challenge into an opportunity. I hope this helps you, and I pray that you'd reflect and think about the language you could be using to shape culture, to control climate, and that you would be intentional about the way that you respond even under pressure. In fact, why don't you take a moment and just think about the last tough thing that happened, the last transition that didn't go so smoothly, or lack of resource, or tough deadline. Think about those things and really honestly reflect on how you reacted. And then ask yourself this question: is this how I want to react moving forward? Or is there a different approach that I could take to actually control climate for my whole team? We're going to talk about a couple other ways in which we can control climate the next time we chat. I hope this was helpful for you. Please leave any questions or comments you have below, and we'll be talking again soon.